Hi guys, it's Yvonne from Ginger Chick Rehab. So glad to have you back to our channel. On our channel, along with my husband Chris, we do flips. We do thrift store finds and we make them over here on our channel, and we share the process with you all of our vision and how we get these items ready to resell, and we resell them here locally. We have a couple retail booths and a local antique market, a local antique mall that is. So as you see, I'm working on a cedar chest. This is a cedar chest that we had bought off a relative. She had an estate that she was settling, and she had some furniture that she was willing to give us for free, but we always offer at least 20 bucks per a piece of furniture. So we were happy to come across a cedar chest. They don't come around often in our area. So as you see, we left the inside natural, and I will be sharing the process in this video of what we did to flip this item.
Would you just look at this gorgeous cedar chest? Oh my gosh. Just the potential in this piece to just give it a facelift so it sticks out a little bit more. Cedar is just a nice wood, but a lot of times when it comes to cedar, it likes to bleed through any lighter color of paint. To open up this cedar chest, you actually push in on this lock. Oh my gosh, what a neat feature. And then it has this beautiful tray that does need a little bit of work to make it blend in with this piece, but oh my, what a beautiful feature. Now you can tell that drawer just sticks out like a sore thumb. It does not blend in with this piece at all, but we're going to be saving it because I think it is a great feature. And no, we're not going to be painting the inside of this at all. So Chris is assessing this drawer. The velvet goes all the way across, trying to figure out how do you take it apart. It's stapled together. How do you take it apart without breaking it? So, yep, as a closer view, you can really see that velvet. But he's just taking the rubber mallet and just gently trying to tap it, releasing those staples from those other pieces of wood, because you definitely don't want to break this wood. Don't want to have to rebuild something that was already in okay shape. Just needs some tighten up and definitely needs that green velvet taken off. Now, I wasn't quite sure how to go about this, how easily this velvet was going to come off, but it has been on there. It is aged, so it's very brittle. So actually just using this little Harbor Freight scraping tool, it is just coming right off as easy as that. So now it's time to take all the hardware off, removing these hinges that keep this lid from falling down on your fingers. So we just like to paint our pieces separately. So he's just going to get any of this hardware removed. It has 3 hinges on the very back of this. I thought that was a very unique. Normally there's 2, but I guess that's what worked back then. They had 3. This locking mechanism is very cool. Unfortunately, no, the key does not. We don't have the key to go with it, but that is quite a locking system. Now that it's all apart, it's time to give it a good cleaning, and just some Superclean, watered down Superclean in a spray bottle, and just a rag. Just get any of the, as you see, it had lots of dust from our workshop. Just getting anything from it sitting around, any grime, any grease, anything on this item that would prevent the paint from sticking properly. Now, just the way the inside of this top is, I have a plan of how I'm going to finish this off. So Chris is going to go ahead and remove this. It's just a sticker of who sold it. It's not an age thing by any means. So he's just going to be using the heat gun and just reactivating that sticky so that this scrapes off. So on the outside of this piece, it's going to be getting a ready to use black onyx and flat. So basically we're just going to be keeping this whole piece black. He's just going to be painting it by hand, protecting that inside, keeping that cedar in this side, but starting right off with the bottom. Just the way that those two stripings of the yellow and the cedar, and the idea of that what I have to finish this piece off, the inside of the lid is getting painted also. This is what it looks like with one coat of black, nice and dry. As you can tell, definitely going to need a second coat. To paint these little pieces that make up the drawer, he's just going to be using some Rust-Oleum in the flat black. Just easier to spray these tiny pieces with a spray paint than it is trying to go in and try to brush these kind of little pieces like this. And then after they were dry, before flipping to the other side, he's going to seal that paint in with some polycrylic. After getting 2 coats of the black, why it was flipped upside down, it's time to flip it upright. There's always those places that you don't see or you can't reach, or you're like, he didn't want to get really close to the bottom of it, so it pooled under and made a mess. And especially there's that little bit of detail. Did you even see that little bit of detail on that in the front when it was just the cedar color? I didn't even recognize it was there until he painted it. So for the ease and to seal this black paint in, Chris is just going to be using some polycrylic in one of the Harbor Freight hoppers to put the top coat on. Oh, this is the part that I have been waiting for this piece. I ordered this redesign stamp in a gold color the front of this. This is just going to tie this piece just together. Oh my gosh. Just absolutely love it. It comes in 3 different pieces. I just envisioned this wording and then that flower up here, easy to center because it's got that keyhole. Oh my gosh, I am super excited about doing this transfer on the front of the cedar chest. Now, even though they have that keyhole there, I'm not going to trust it. I'm just going to do one quick measurement to make sure that keyhole is the center point. So we are good to go. Yep, that is nice and center. I took that backing off and now I'm ready to lay this image down. So that basically I flip that cedar chest on its side so I have a nice flat surface to work with, and it'll start adhering so it's a little bit sticky after you remove that backing. Now that I have my image all down, I have it taped down just in case so it does not shift on me, and they send this little piece of wood in with the transfers to start rubbing on all those little areas of the transfers to get it to adhere to your item. I'm just going to remove that piece of tape, and then I'm going to start removing that protective coating that was on there. But as I'm working around, some of those little edges are still a little stuck, so just go very gingerly as you're working, making sure that you're not pulling that transfer off. I'm just going to run my hand over the image just to make sure that some of the outer edges, if they're sticking up, and I'm just rubbing them down. So it's the exact same thing for the bigger transfer. I just taken that little piece of wood, and I'm going to say that I am going to invest in one of their tools that's hopefully a little bit stronger to help this along. I can't say that this piece of wood is very comfortable in my hand, but hey, you use what you have and use what you're giving. So if I keep doing a lot of transfers, which you guys, they are so satisfying. I love cricketing, I love stenciling, I love stamping, but oh my gosh, these transfers are they're so fast and so satisfying. So here she is, the transfers all on there, but I did want to share with you when I'm scraping with that little wooden tool. This is that black. I always say that about our black pieces, that they act like chalkboard, so you can see a lot of the marks that the scraping tool left behind, but I wasn't worried because I know I had not distressed this piece at all. I am steel wooling it, and I have to say I started going around the transfer very gingerly, but I didn't really have any worries of taking it off as I'm rubbing on it. So even though you do seal your transfers in, I'm like, wow, I'm impressed. Now, I should let you know that we do use the finest, the 00040 fine grit steel wool. Now, usually I always steel wool after I go through and distress the edges, but I was a little nervous that those scrapes weren't going to come off around that image, that transfer. So now I'm just going in with some 220 sandpaper on all the edges. I'm going to show some of this beautiful curves off, get down to that natural cedar wood. And then wherever there's a corner, there's an edge, that is where I'm going to be taking my sandpaper and showing some of that wood through, just to give it that nice age of distressing. Then on the flat surfaces, just like I did around the transfer, I go in with that fine grit steel wool and just smooth the entire piece out. Now that I've created a whole bunch of sandy dust, I'm just taking the air compressor and blowing it off. If you're a regular viewer to our channel, you know what was coming next. Yep, some Waverly antiquing wax. Yep, I'm going to be taking that to all the black area on this piece, even over that transfer, just to give it that, like it's always been their look. I absolutely love the goldie of that transfer. I love what this antiquing wax, this Waverly antiquing wax does to black. It just richens it up, just takes that harshness of the black away and just makes it nice and soft. And then it helps all those areas where I distressed it just pop a little bit more. When I said I had a plan for the inside of that lid, oh my goodness, this decoupage paper matches this transfer. Oh, I was so excited when I saw that. So I'm like, oh yes, I know exactly what I want to do with that decoupage paper. I just want to look like it's a label on the inside. Now, I did buy 2 pieces. I could have filled out the whole space, but it's not as rippy. It's very fabric like, so I decided just to center it in the middle and just do the one piece. So I wasn't really sure. Was almost out of Mod Podge. This is a furniture piece. I'm going to have to seal it in with a top coat anyway. So can I apply this with a top coat? Well, I am. So I'm going to start it off just like I do my decoupage paper when I'm doing Mod Podge. I'm going to start right in the middle and just apply a generous amount, especially since this is more fabric-like than it is tissue paper. So then I'm just gently laying it down, working out any big bubbles, but since this is more fabric-y, it's just smoothing right out. Yeah, and it's not actually even really coming onto my hands. You probably thought, oh my gosh, she's getting it all over her hands, but not really. It's, like I said, it's a nice thick fabric actually. I'm just going to go ahead and apply some more on the top. And I was thinking, actually, the nice thing about not using both of those pieces of tissue paper is I have 2 other parts of that transfer left. So if I run across another project that I can do some little hidden decor, hidden details like this, I already have a piece on hand. Now after that was good and dry, it may have been a little bit of wet here and there, but I didn't want it to be completely dry because I want to, just like I do the furniture piece, I wanted to richen up that black. But I also want to make this not look like a new piece of fabric that I just put down. So I want to actually touch it here and there and give it that aged look with this antiquing wax also. That way, why it's a little bit, the outer edges are dry, but the middle's still a little bit on the wet side. And I'm okay with that because I didn't want it to take the antiquing wax evenly. Now when it came to the hardware, black was our choice, which if you watch our channel, yeah, we do mostly black. But anyway, it's just Rust-Oleum paint and primer one and flat black. And I'll do both sides to make sure that nothing is sticking out that didn't get covered. After that black is dry, I'll go in and seal and protect it using some Rust-Oleum and clear matte. After letting that hardware cure overnight, now we can attach it back on. I still think it's unique that it has 3 hinges. Maybe this is something the other furniture flippers see all the time, but usually we only ever see 2 hinges, but they are on the smaller side. Now painting this drawer piece just your basic black, sealing it in with a coat or 2 of the polycrylic just is going to tie this in just a little bit better together. I just love the feature that this hinge is also where that drawer sits. So when you open up the top, there's the drawer. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.